Trillionaire. Sounds pretty ridiculous, doesn't it? Just saying the word trillionaire. It's really hard to fathom that amount of GP. Because for a long time, basically since the game was created, we've been stuck with this figure, this number. However, for those who don't know, coming up in a couple weeks, at least at time of recording, 7 days from now, we will be getting an update that will remove this number forever. Well, technically speaking, it'll be gone from gameplay, but it'll still be there in the background because Java didn't get an update, RuneScape did. Basically, they found a way in order to where when you make one max cash stack, that number gets transferred over into a different value and counts as 1. So we have a max integer times a max integer, which is roughly 4.6 quintillion GP as a new max stack, effectively removing the max stack. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Car Guy, why won't you just go for a new max cash stack? And to put this new max stack into perspective, I'm going to give you a couple of different examples. Now, for the sake of this description on how large this number is, we're going to ignore the economic variable and assume that the economy can handle this amount of GP being pumped into game, and we're also assuming there is enough GP to compensate for the amount of items that would be flowing in, and these items would keep their value, which obviously would never happen, but for the sake of explanation, let's just assume these facts. So we have our number 4.6 quintillion. There's a lot of numbers after it, I'll have it up here on screen. But let's assume we took 10,000 5-man Zammy teams. So this is 50,000 people in total. Now the best 5-man Zammy teams supposedly can make over 300 mil an hour. The rate for 2k farming on PvMe hovers around 270 to 250 mil an hour depending on prices. And we're going to assume all 50,000 of these people are pooling their GP together to try and make a new max cash stack. So we take 50,000, we multiply it by 300 million GP per hour, and we get a figure of 15 trillion GP per hour. So we take our new max cash stack, divide that by 15 trillion GP per hour, and we get a figure of 307,000 hours. Now to put that hour count into perspective, we can divide that by 24, and then we can divide that figure by 365. So it would take 50,000 Zammy farming individuals at 2k Enrage playing perfectly, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, no rest, no eating, just straight farming the boss, 35 years. Pooling their GP together to make one new max cash stack. That is a lot of time. Now for context, there are nowhere near that number of people to farm Zammy at those rates to try and pull that off. The only way I could see this being done in a feasible amount of time is if you got every single person in the PvMe Discord farming their favorite boss for as much GP per hour as they possibly can, and then trusting one individual to hold all of that GP for a max stack. In short, this is basically impossible without some type of dupe glitch or some type of bug abuse, which I personally don't do here, so to keep things within a realm of feasibility, we're going to go for 1 trillion GP. This is still 2 full figures off of the new max stack, but it's still a lot of GP nonetheless. So let's go ahead and get into how that's done. So with that mini lesson out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the discussion on what this series actually is and how it's going to fit into the channel. So on my channel, there's basically a few different types of videos. I mainly do guides, I have a series called Unpopular Methods, I have an older series I haven't touched called the Four Horsemen, I have some endurance videos, a couple loot videos, some 12-hour challenges, and it's kind of a smorgasbord of random series kind of getting started here and there, and then not getting too much attention afterwards. So when the cash stack update was announced, I had the grand idea of why don't I just pull all of these series into one, and for each episode of this new series, it could be a 12-hour challenge somewhere, it could be an endurance run of some kind, it could just be me farming KC for a boss, or it could be even some Golden Reaper hunting. Now, the couple of series that I don't want to pull into this one is Unpopular Methods. I think I'm just going to keep that one separate. I enjoy making those as their own entity. And the Four Horsemen I'm going to pretty much leave alone, except instead of having Golden Reaper in there, I'm going to pull that out and put it into Trillionaire, and I'll make an update episode with that series later on down the road explaining how that one's fully going to work, so stay tuned for that. But any endurance runs I do, any loot videos or KC farming I do, any 12-hour challenges or 24-hour challenges or anything like that, that's all going to go into this series for these episodes. There might be some death montages, there might be some GP farming montages, there might be an epic kill or two that I did. This series has quite a broad stroke of potential content to come out. So how do I plan on making 1 trillion GP in a cash stack? Well, the short answer is not overnight. This series is probably going to be running for a while. It may even have over 100 episodes of trying to get there. It is a mainstay platform on this channel going forward. And the only thing that's going to really cancel this series is if Jagex decides to shut down RuneScape servers, which I don't see happening anytime soon, though it is here to stay. Now again, just to reiterate, I'm going to keep Four Horsemen and Unpopular Methods separate, and guides will still be coming out per usual. FSOA changes just came into game, so now I have to go through every single magic guide I've ever made and redo all of those, so we have quite a few videos that are on the docket and need to come out soon, so keep your eyes out for all of those. But we're going to go ahead and switch over to a live game format. I'm going to go through my supplies, my ideas, things I'm going to save for, other things of the sort, and kind of go over that. So let's switch over to the game itself. Alrighty, here we are in game, and we're going to be going over what I have and kind of everything and how we got here. So as you can see, I have nothing in my cash stack. There is absolutely no GP in here, and for good reason. So I've slowly just been kind of working on stockpiling some supplies here and there. Kind of got white stacks for all the runes. I stocked up on familiars, a couple other things, armor spikes, some vuln bombs. The arrow stacks are pretty decent, as well as all of the quivers are for the most part filled up. I also bought things like divine charges and some other stuff for like skilling and whatnot, but the main thing was just getting enough supplies and finishing up all my gear upgrades. I have every single EOF possible in game now, and yes, some of these are kinda pointless, like I don't really use Gmaul ever or D-Halberd or some of these other things. Like DSIM is definitely a pointless EOF, but I digress. I wanted to have all of these items purchased. I need to charge up a couple things. Graham, I just charge up by doing solo Solak anyways, and it's still a good GP source, so might as well. And for the most part, I've emptied out my loot tab. I might hold some tabs for different periods of time, just to kind of see what comes into game. And I have no shard stack here. I still have these orbs are from like 2020. I haven't done anything with them, and I don't really have plans for Telos. The Nihilus and the Remnants, they're there just for streaking, and I did do some solo Solak a couple days ago, just to kind of build up my pages a little bit, so I have a little bit of a buffer. But other than that, there really isn't a whole lot here as far as things I can immediately sell, because I wanted to start from scratch. I wanted to start from zero just because this is a cash stack farming series, but I wanted to make sure I had enough supplies to go ahead and do some bossing for a while, and you'll have to wait till episode 1 to see how far we get in the next couple weeks. I try and do uploads every, I don't know, anywhere 2 to 4 weeks, something like that. Or anytime I do something notable, make some notable progress, an episode will come out. However, I kind of have a backlog of old clips from kind of getting up to this point in the past couple months. So I'm just going to take kind of the highlights from those clips that I have. Some of these are from a couple months ago, like there was a 12-hour ED1 challenge. I got some scale drops. Some of them are just kind of other random drops that I found sitting in my recording folders. And others are kind of just miscellaneous clips. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll this little montage.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
I think graphically they're quite comparable.
Wow.
I think. Obviously I have to try and avoid these cars.
Badoodle. No. No way. 2 staff pieces in like 2 hours.
Nice.
Ooh, Four Horsemen.
Yes!
Yeah!
Now that's a lot of damage!
That's what I'm talking about. Wow!
Oh, this is better.
Fuck me!
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No, 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 no.
What am I trading? You can have a summoning renewal. All right, that's a first.